This weekend, a brand new indie animation project blew up, going from 50,000 to 500,000 views in just one day, and at the time of writing this, now up to 800,000 views, and who knows where it'll be by the time this video is up. The show is called Pretty Please I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl, and as the title suggests, it's an ironic take on the magical girl genre, and more specifically, the story of Sailor Moon. Pretty Please I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl focuses on the character of Aika, who is happy to be starting at a new school, claiming to be an untalented girl with an unspectacular life. But as per the title of the show, the secret is that she's really a magical girl and just doesn't want to be one. The pilot so far is told with an animatic style from popular fan artist Kiana Consmith, who Hailey already knew from her various pieces focusing on Pokemon's Jessie and James. According to the description, this animatic started off as an attempt to just improve her portfolio, but it's evolved into something bigger, with other artists helping to create different sequences in the pilot as well. Now, in the pilot, Aika's goal with her first day of school is just to fit in. But from the get-go, it's clear something isn't right about her, specifically how advanced she is compared to the other students. We see her get a quiz done on her first day faster than the regular students who were already in this class, and she has to pretend to take more time in order to feel like she fits in. She ends up ditching this plan, however, when she notices that she's been followed by a star being named Hoshi. This is a typical magical girl setup, with the classic magical girl anime, Sailor Moon, having a talking cat give Sailor Moon her magic powers. But in this show, Aika is trying to avoid this. It's even explained that Aika locked Hoshi in a magic box in order to get away from him, but someone managed to help him escape, which is important because Hoshi knows that someone evil is after Aika and is clearly following her to this new school. Aika ends up making a friend named Zira at the school, who starts off seemingly with no interest in friends, but we later realize it's only because no one has really wanted to be Zira's friend in the past. Zira is considered an outsider because she likes Japanese comics or manga, particularly Moon Sailor, an obvious in-world parallel to the real-life Sailor Moon. After learning just how much Zira loves magical girls, she gets the ultimate best friend when she realizes that Aika is a magical girl herself, with Aika having no choice but to transform when her cafeteria is attacked by a mysterious villain named Eclipse. Aika's able to defeat him pretty easily, ending the episode with Aika's identity exposed to Zira and the promise of a fun little friendship being explored as Aika tries to avoid her magical girl duties and just be a normal human. Now, for those of you who don't know, I was kind of hugely obsessed with Sailor Moon growing up. It was one of my favorite things in the world, right next to Sonic the Hedgehog. I loved it so much that I made a 6-episode sequel fan project of Sailor Moon where we cut out the original footage frame by frame, edited over new backgrounds, dubbed it, and even painted over the original animation with new costumes. The whole 9 yards. Then in the last few years, I made my own magical girl pilot that was basically just about Sailor Venus turning 30 and getting drunk at work. The big twist for Aika is that she doesn't want to be a magical girl and is actively avoiding it. That isn't to say this hasn't been done before, as even Sailor Moon liked to avoid her duties as a hero and had some pretty serious episodes about accepting that this is a continual obligation of hers. But Pretty Please I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl dives a lot deeper on that idea, so much so that it's the point of its title. The fun thing about magical girl anime is that they generally have these elaborate musical transformation sequences where they get to put on their magical sailor suits. And though being a Sailor Scout is Sailor Moon's secret identity, she and the other characters were seen as embracing who they really are by becoming more than what society thinks of them as just schoolgirls and turning into superheroes. In Pretty Please I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl, we get the opposite of this, with Aika having a de-transformation sequence at the end of the battle that allows her to return to who she sees as her real self, the version of her under the hero that Hoshi and perhaps her home people expect her to be. While this isn't something confirmed in the pilot, it seems that Aika isn't just some random magical girl avoiding her powers, but someone running away from the bigger responsibilities that they just aren't ready for. I imagine a lot of people who have seen Star vs. the Forces of Evil see similarities between the shows, both being about Star-themed Sailor Moon parodies going to school on Earth. But to me, this is something of a public domain concept, though I obviously have a bias. But what I mean here is that Sailor Moon already set up the premise that pretty much every other magical girl story stole. And if you're a fan of the genre or even just Sailor Moon, this just becomes about exploring the endless combinations of this formula. What makes Pretty Please I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl so different from Star vs. the Forces of Evil is that Star vs. is about a girl who loves being a magical space princess so much that she clearly has no regard for her power or its destructive abilities, using it more so as a toy to have fun. She's avoiding responsibilities, but it's chasing the high of being a magical girl in Star vs. the Forces of Evil. The point was to give wish fulfillment to the audience of being a magical girl, and slowly exploring how that is actually more serious. Her best friend Marco, meanwhile, is just another fan of big action and magic. In Pretty Please I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl, our duo is a lot more balanced. We have Aika, who is a magical girl who is supposed to be fighting evil, but all she wants is to be a normal schoolgirl and make friends. Meanwhile, our second lead, Zira, is a normal girl who wants desperately to be a magical girl to escape her boring life. Both have fantasy ideas of each other's lives, with Zira having the obvious love for Aika's powers and costumes, but Aika also has a fantasy version of Zira's life in her head, something we see in the opening scenes. When going to school, Aika imagines it the way you might on TV, which in many ways is just as much a fantasy and wish fulfillment as being a magical girl. She spends her morning trying to run to school even though she can just walk because she's used to seeing TV shows where girls are late to school and have to run to get there on time, with it being played off as lighthearted, funny, and even adventurous. Zira doesn't understand the reality of what it means to be a magical girl, which is likely a lot of pressure that Aika tried to escape. Aika, meanwhile, doesn't realize that being a kid isn't just about going to school. It's about your entire life, which comes with conflict. It comes with parents who don't understand you and try to get you to do things that you don't like. It comes with classmates that don't get along with you, leading to you becoming an isolated person seeking escapist fantasy like Moon Sailor. Even school isn't what Aika imagined, as whatever system she was in before seems a lot more difficult than the school she's in now, where she already knows all the answers to the quiz on the first day that all the other students are struggling with. Both just have a fantasy idea of what each other's lives are, and if we're gonna get more episodes, this would be what the show would explore, it seems. The cutest moment to me was the end credits, where we get to see the two just sitting at night enjoying the stars above. Very classic end credit animation stuff. But here it really emphasizes the main dynamic and commentary between these two characters, the magical girl who wants to be a normal schoolgirl, and the normal schoolgirl who wants to be a magical girl. That's exciting to me, as we know each episode isn't just going to be a hilarious parody of normal magical girl antics, but instead each one will probably go deeper on the disconnect these two have when talking about each other's lives. There's so many places a show like this could go, and I would love to see an episode where they get to swap lives by having Aika give her powers to Zira, and she can see it's just not worth it. A story that would probably make sense near a finale. But who knows? This started as just a fun idea to polish Consmith's portfolio, as the description says, and I'm not aware of any attempts to crowdfund more episodes. For me personally, the animatic formula worked great, and it makes me want to see and even create more projects using this method. There is a moment in the battle where things become more animated and even colored, and that could be a fun thing as well, but it would be cool to see a series focus mostly on this animatic style of storytelling, with just a few scenes, or maybe just one in each episode, going fully animated like this. Considering how little motion some anime has, the more consistent motion of this spaced throughout the animatic made it feel like a pretty natural watch to me, and if they were able to get money to make more episodes and even just add a little bit of color, that would be really cool. But what do you guys think? This is just the latest in a series of indie animated pilots that we've been seeing lately, and another example I think of how certain artists are cleverly building fan bases with fan art that can be transitioned into their own full-fledged series, but who's to say if they'll take this as an excuse to make more? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you haven't seen it yet, go check out the actual pilot over on her channel. See you guys there.
Well, 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 if it isn't my arch rival, Racer Rabbit. Shady the Bat, you're here for the magic crystal as well?
Careful, Racer! He almost beat you last time.
I guess we'll have no choice but to battle till the very end, our hands all over each other. No homo. There is no homo that I fear. Well then, may the best homo win!
Wait, what did you say?